Most fossils look normal. A shell, a bone, maybe a tooth. But every once in a while, paleontologists dig up something so bizarre that the first reaction isn't, "What species is this?" It's, "What on earth am I even looking at?" So in this video, we're diving into some of the strangest extinct animals ever discovered. The first weird creature on our list looks like an elephant drawn by someone who didn't quite finish the sketch. Meet the Platybelodon. It was discovered in the early 1900s and instantly labeled one of the strangest looking mammals ever found. When paleontologists first uncovered its skull, they weren't just confused, they were very confused. The lower jaw was flattened like a giant shovel, and its teeth were stretched out into sharp, scraping blades. At first, scientists thought the jaw was broken. That would have been comforting, but after finding more fossils, it became clear this was the real design. A whole animal walking around with what looked like a giant gardening tool attached to its face. However, investigating how this creature lived was tricky. The skull shape didn't match any living animal, and theories bounced around for decades. Some paleontologists thought it scooped mud like a giant beaver, while others believed it cut down tree bark or shaved vegetation using its bladed teeth. More recent studies suggest it probably used the jaw like a combined shovel and scissors tool, slicing plants and dragging them upward with a short trunk. In terms of size, a Platybelodon stood around 2.2 meters tall, slightly taller than the average human, but with a face that would make any zoologist question their degree. Even today, we still debate exactly how it used that mouth. Imagine seeing one in real life, a huge, loud animal walking toward you with a giant metal-looking shovel where its chin should be. No thank you. Next up is a creature that paleontologists originally thought was a flying reptile, then a swimming reptile, then maybe a land reptile, and honestly, the mystery still isn't completely resolved. This is Tanystropheus, discovered more than a century ago, with fossils that created pure chaos. Why? Because its neck is ridiculous. Imagine an animal with a normal-sized body, about the size of a medium dog, but with a neck 3 times longer than its torso. Its neck alone could reach 3 meters, longer than most humans are tall. When the first fossils were found, scientists thought the neck bones were part of the tail. Later, some argued it was a flying creature like a pterosaur. Then others said it lived underwater like a giant eel. Today, the best guess is that it was a semi-aquatic predator that used its giant neck to sneak up on prey from a distance like a reptilian fishing spear. But the debates continue. Its neck bones were delicate, which raises questions. How did it lift its head? Did it hunt underwater? Did it ambush the fish by barely moving its body? Nothing about this creature makes sense. It looks like evolution accidentally stretched one part of the animal model and forgot to fix it. And seeing a neck as long as a car slowly rises from shallow water. Yeah, that would be nightmare fuel. However, the Sacabambaspis sounds like the name of a spell from Harry Potter, but it's actually a real ancient fish and one of the strangest ever found discovered in Bolivia. This creature lived about 460 million years ago and left behind fossils that confused scientists from the moment they saw them. The fossils showed a fish with a wide, flattened head shaped like a giant bone shield, no jaws, and 2 weird horn-like extensions on the sides. Its body was long and eel-like, but the head looked like a misplaced doorstop. When scientists first reconstructed it, some believed the side extensions were arms, others thought they were fins, and a few even argued they were some form of sensory organ. None of these guesses fully matched the fossil evidence. The most likely explanation is that the head acted like a protective shield and maybe even helped it dig or push through sediment. But the truth is, the fossil leaves more questions than answers. Sacabambaspis was only about 25 to 30 centimeters long. It is small enough to hold in your hands, and yet it remains one of the most confusing early vertebrates ever discovered. Its face alone looks like something that should not exist. No jaws, no teeth, just a flat armored plate staring at you with tiny eyes. Even scientists admit this thing looks like a prehistoric mistake. Now let's talk about something genuinely terrifying, the Arthropleura, the largest millipede that ever lived. This thing slithered across Earth about 300 million years ago and could reach lengths of up to 2.5 meters. That's longer than an average human coffin. Imagine walking through a forest and seeing a giant centipede the size of a sofa calmly crawling past you. And here's the scary part. We still don't have a complete fossil of its head. We don't fully know what it looked like, and that mystery alone makes it worse. When the first fossil fragments were discovered, paleontologists weren't sure whether it was a crustacean, a land animal, or some unknown monster. The segments were massive, thicker than a human wrist, and the size didn't match anything known from that time. Investigations revealed that Arthropleura likely fed on decaying plants, meaning it probably wasn't a predator. But still, a giant armored centipede moving like a tank through ancient forests is the stuff of nightmares. It could easily crawl over a human adult and keep going without even noticing. This next creature is included because it proves nature has a sense of humor. The Cotylorhynchus is an extinct creature that looks like someone tried to draw a dinosaur from memory and gave up halfway through. It had this tiny head, which is smaller than a human's, stuck onto a balloon-shaped body that weighed over a ton. Imagine a small human-sized head on top of a living beanbag. When early paleontologists found the fossils, they genuinely thought they were misassembled. Some of them even argued the head belonged to a different animal, while others thought the ribcage was too large to be functional. It looked like an evolutionary prank. But after repeated discoveries, scientists realized this was real. Cotylorhynchus was built like a giant living loaf of bread, waddling around on short legs. It could grow up to 3 to 4 meters long, meaning it was the size of a small car, and despite its shape, it was likely a peaceful herbivore. How did it breathe? How did it move? How did that little head manage to support the needs of such a massive body? We still don't know everything, but one thing is certain. If it walked past you today, you'd think reality was glitching. Next is the Chalicotherium, a creature that looks like a mashup between a gorilla, a horse, and a bear. When the first fossils were discovered in the 1800s, scientists couldn't agree what it was at all. The body looked horse-like. The arms were long like a gorilla's, and the fingers ended in huge claws instead of hooves. It walked partly on its knuckles and stood as tall as a modern horse, about 2.2 meters at the shoulder, taller than most humans. Some scientists thought it was a predator, and others thought it climbed trees. Eventually, evidence pointed to it being a herbivore that used its claws to pull down leaves, like a prehistoric ground sloth. But the strangest mystery is why an animal evolved to look like this in the first place. A clawed horse with gorilla arms? Nature has some explaining to do. Now we end with one of the most terrifying animals to ever swim in the ocean, the Dunkleosteus. This giant armored fish lived 360 million years ago and could reach lengths of 6 to 10 meters, longer than a pickup truck. Its skull was a bony tank, with thick plates instead of scales, and inside that armored head was a biting mechanism strong enough to crush bone, shell, and anything unlucky enough to cross its path. Scientists estimate its bite force at over 6,000 pounds, easily strong enough to snap a human in half. When its fossils were first discovered, the skull shape was so strange that scientists didn't even know which way the mouth opened. But later, studies revealed that the Dunkleosteus didn't have traditional teeth. It had these sharp, self-sharpening bone blades, and every time it closed its mouth, the blades honed themselves like scissors. It was the ocean's ultimate nightmare, a massive armored torpedo with a guillotine for a face. And despite decades of study, we still don't know what its soft body looked like. Did it have a long tail, fins, a shark-like shape? No one knows. Only the head fossil remains to fuel our imagination. So, which extinct animal surprised you the most? And which one would you want to see alive today from a safe distance, of course? Let us know in the comments.